This is a story you must hear before it's too late. The story is titled The Dog Meat Seller. Without further ado, let's dive into its events. In the beginning, the older brother was known among the villagers for his integrity and honesty in his work, as he used to prepare the kabsa with his own hands and sell it in a way that would please God. He always smiled at the customers, asked about their conditions, and gave each person his due without any cheating or deception. The kabsa shop was in the middle of the village, attracting people from everywhere, thanks to his good reputation and honesty. But after his death, Sammy took over the shop, trying to follow in his brother's footsteps. In the early days, Sammy worked hard to meet customers' demands, and the kabsa was very popular. The shop's profits began to increase, which made him feel successful and satisfied with himself. One day, the shop was crowded as usual. A customer named Hussein arrived and asked for a quantity of kabsa to take with him. Sammy looked into the pot and then said to Hussein, "There is only 1 kilo of kabsa left. The quantity is almost finished." Hussein agreed and took what was left, leaving Sammy confused because the meat had run out. Sammy decided to go to the nearby meat merchant to buy more, and he continues his work. But the surprise was waiting for him when the merchant told him that the price of meat had suddenly doubled. Sammy returned to the shop frustrated and decided to raise the price of kabsa to compensate for the price difference. But he was surprised when most of the customers left and were unable to bear the new prices. Sammy saw that his friend Hussein had left the shop after noticing the high prices, so he called him, saying, "Hussein, the prices. It rose because the price of meat increased, and I had to increase the price of kabsa as well." "What is my fault in that?" Hussein replied, saying, "But at these prices I cannot buy kabsa." Then he left the place. 2 days passed and no customer came to Sammy's shop. The kabsa began to spoil, and an unpleasant smell began to spread in the place. Sammy sat sadly. He thought that his shop was always crowded with customers, but now the kabsa remained unsold and was no longer fit to eat. He threw it away in a faraway place. Sammy took the spoiled kabsa and went to a deserted area to get rid of it. As soon as he put it on the ground, its smell attracted a large group of stray dogs that came running when Sammy saw this. The scene made him think of something strange, so he said to himself, "The number of dogs here is greater than the number of sheep. Why? I do not benefit from it and save on the cost of meat." Sam's added a portion of dog meat to the kabsa, and no one would notice the difference. Sammy began to implement his idea, so he bought a small amount of real meat and mixed it with dog meat to make a mixed kabsa. As soon as Sammy commented on the old price, the customers returned to his shop. The first of them was Hussein, who, as soon as he saw the sign, he quickly entered and said to Sammy with a wide smile, "Well done, Sammy. You've gone back to the old prices. I really miss the taste of the kabsa you prepare. Please bring me a quick plate." Sammy quickly prepared the kabsa plate for Hussein, but what Hussein did not know was that Sammy had decided to reduce the costs. Preparation. Because lamb meat was expensive, Sammy thought of mixing it with the meat of stray dogs that he found in the remote area. Thus, the kabsa dish presented to Hussein contained a small piece of real meat, while the rest was mixed meat. Hussein began to eat the dish with appetite. After a few steps, he suddenly stopped and smiled, saying, "Delicious as usual, but I feel that the taste of one of the pieces is a bit strange. I have eaten meat like this before." Sammy smiled nervously and replied, "Oh, maybe because I bought this meat from a new supplier. The taste might be a little different. Enjoy your meal and don't worry." Hussein continued eating the mixed kabsa with appetite without suspecting anything. After he finished his meal and paid the bill, he suddenly felt a strange voice. A sound like a dog barking came from his throat. He became worried and said to Sammy, laughing a little, "What is this? It seems that I hear dogs barking from my throat. Is this normal?" Sammy laughed, trying to hide his nervousness, and said, "Perhaps it's the effect of the new meat. Don't worry. Everything is fine." As time passed, the problem began to get worse. So every time Hussein spoke, he was making a strange barking sound unintentionally. Hussein felt embarrassed and decided to see a doctor to find out the reason for this annoying sound. He did not know that its secret lies in the mixed kabsa that he ate at Sami's shop. Hussein went to his wife. After she heard his voice making sounds similar to the barking of dogs, she was struck by. She was shocked and said, "What happened? Did you get bitten by a dog or what? Why is the barking sound coming from your mouth?" Hussein answered, saying, "Since I ate kabsa from Sami's shop, I have been suffering from these strange sounds." His wife said, "Let's go to him and ask him about the food." She took her husband, and they went to Sami's shop. When they arrived, the shop was crowded with customers eating kabsa with satisfaction. The wife called out in a loud voice, saying, "Sami, what did you add to the food?" "The kabsa that I served to my husband surprised the customers, and they started looking at it. So I continued saying, 'Ever since my husband ate your kabsa, it has been making sounds like dogs. Did you put something strange in it?'" The customers exchanged worried looks, and one of them, whose name was Salim, said, "I was eating dog meat without knowing." Everyone felt disgusted and stopped eating, and it began. Some of them left the food while whispering words of anger and resentment. The situation turned into a crowd around Sami, where one of the customers said, "We trust you and eat from you every day. How can you deceive us like this?" Sami felt confused and began to step back while the customers became more angry, until he decided to flee the store immediately before, to be able to catch him. Then a number of customers flocked to the police station and filed a report against him. The police arrived at the shop to investigate the matter and arrested Sami after they confirmed that he was selling dog meat instead of other meat. News of his actions spread among the villagers, and angry demonstrations gathered in front of the shop, denouncing his fraud and betrayal of trust after he was arrested. On Sami, he confessed to his crime of selling dog meat to customers. The authorities decided to impose strict penalties on him. He was sentenced to a long prison term to serve as a lesson to anyone who tries to cheat and tamper with people's health. His shop was completely closed by order of the authorities. The municipality also ordered the place to be cleaned to ensure that such acts are not repeated in the future. As for Hussein, he went with his wife to the doctor, where he underwent a thorough medical examination. The wife said to the doctor, "Since my husband ate Sami's kabsa, he has been making dog sounds." The doctor said in surprise, "Kabsa is a dog's kabsa. People eat lamb or chicken kabsa." "Where did you get kabsa with dog meat? How did it taste?" Hussein replied angrily, "Doctor, I came here for treatment, not to ask you about the taste." The doctor reassured him, saying, "Don't worry, I will perform a simple operation to cut off the vocal cords that give you this sound, and you will never hear dogs barking again." Upon hearing this, Hussein was so terrified that his voice returned to normal completely, without any strange sounds. The doctor laughed and said, "Were you crazy to think that I would cut your throat? Don't worry. It seems that the voice has disappeared." The wife laughed and said, "Look, my dear, there is no need for surgery anymore. I just spoke very clearly without any dog noise." After a period of exciting events, everything returned to normal in the village. The villagers became more careful about choosing reliable places for food and learned that quality and honesty are the basis of health. As for Sammy, he got his just punishment and became a lesson to everyone who tries to cheat. As for Hussein, he returned to his normal life and also learned the importance of making sure of the source of food before eating it. In the end, the village continued on its path towards the better, hoping that this story will be a lesson to everyone. If you like this story, do not forget to subscribe to our channel. To be the first to follow the latest exciting stories and adventures, thank you for your support, and we hope you have a great time with more from the stories.